Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Shloka Day. Today's Shloka number 2 of chapter 2. Sri Bhagavanuvacha
Shri Bhagavanuvacha
Kutastva Kashmalamidam
Kutastva Kashmalamidam
Vishame Samupasthitam
Vishame Samupasthitam
Anarya Jushtamasvargyam
Anarya Jushtamaswargyam
Akirtikaram Arjuna.
Akirtikaram Arjuna.
Forward meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said.
Kutaha.
Kutaha.
Where from?
Where from?
Tva.
Tva.
Unto you.
Unto you.
Kashmalam.
Kashmalam.
Dirtiness.
Dirtiness.
Idam.
Idam.
This lamentation.
This lamentation.
Vishame.
Vishame.
In this hour of crisis.
In this hour of crisis.
Samupasthitam.
Samupasthitam.
Arrived.
Arrived.
Anarya.
Anarya.
Persons who do not know the value of life.
Persons who do not know the value of life.
Jushtam.
Jushtam.
Practiced by.
Practiced by.
Asvargyam.
Asvargyam.
Which does not lead to higher planets.
Which does not lead to higher planets.
Akirti.
Akirti.
Infamy.
Infamy.
Karam.
Karam.
The cause of.
The cause of.
Arjuna.
Arjuna.
O Arjuna.
O Arjuna.
Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said.
My dear Arjuna.
My dear Arjuna.
How have these impurities come upon you?
How have these impurities come upon you?
They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life.
They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life.
They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy.
They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy.
So, this is the first verse that Krishna is speaking, other than the brief mention in chapter 1. So you can see that Krishna is immediately chastising Arjuna. So Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical. Therefore, Lord Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan throughout the Gita. Bhagavan is the ultimate in the absolute truth. The absolute truth is realized in 3 phases of understanding, namely Brahman, or the impersonal, all-pervasive spirit, Paramatma, or the localized aspect of the Supreme within the heart of all living entities, and Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse number 11, this conception of the absolute truth is explained thus. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. The absolute truth is realized in 3 phases of understanding. By the knower of the absolute truth, and all of them are identical. Such phases of the absolute truth are expressed as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So just like you have to climb a ladder to reach the very top, it's a process. You have to follow one step, the next step, the next step, until you reach the top. So similarly, understanding who is Bhagavan Sri Krishna also can be a process by which you take a linear route. First understand what is Brahman, then focus on Paramatma, and then ultimately come to understand who is Bhagavan. Although it is not necessary for us to go through this linear process, we can directly understand who is Bhagavan Krishna simply by performing bhakti. These three divine aspects can be explained by the example of the sun, which also has three different aspects, namely the sunshine, the sun's surface, and the sun planet itself. One who studies the sunshine only is the preliminary student. One who understands the sun's surface is further advanced. And one who can enter into the sun planet is the highest. Ordinary students who are satisfied by simply understanding the sunshine, its universal pervasiveness, and the glaring effulgence of its impersonal nature may be compared to those who can realize only the Brahman feature of the Absolute Truth. The student who has advanced still further can know the sun disk, which is compared to knowledge of the Paramatma feature of the Absolute Truth. And the student who can enter into the heart of the sun planet is compared to those who realize the personal features of the Supreme Absolute Truth. So Prabhupada is using a beautiful analogy to explain the difference between Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, using the sun globe, and the sunshine. The sunshine would be equivalent to Brahman or Brahma Jyoti. Paramatma would be equal to the sun planet itself. And Bhagavan would be equivalent to the sun god residing on the sun planet. Therefore, it is concluded in the Brahma Samhita by Lord Brahma himself that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to or above him. He is the primeval Lord, or Bhagavan, known as Govinda. And he is the supreme cause of all causes. What is that shloka? Ishvarah Paramah Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme because none can excel him. He is the supreme person and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda and the cause of all causes. This is from Brahma Samhita, first shloka in the 5th chapter. In the Bhagavatam also, there is a list of many incarnations of the personality of Godhead, but Krishna is described as the original personality of Godhead, from whom many incarnations and personalities of Godhead expand. Ete chamsha kalah pumsah Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. The translation of this shloka is, all the lists of incarnations of Godhead submitted herewith are either plenary expansions or parts of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Plenary means primary. So for example, you can say Balaram is the immediate direct expansion of the Lord. Sometimes the expansions of the Lord also have expansions. For example, Narayana expands into the Chaturvyuha, and from the Mahasankarshan comes the three Vishnus. So you could see expansions of Krishna also have their own expansions. Therefore, plenary expansions are parts of the plenary expansions. Therefore, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, the source of both the Super Soul and the impersonal Brahman. So the Paramatma comes from Krishna. Brahma Jyoti also emanates from Krishna's body. In the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kinsmen is certainly unbecoming. And therefore Krishna expressed his surprise with the word Kutaha, where from? Such impurities were never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class of men known as Aryans. The word Aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life and have a civilization based on spiritual realization. persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is realization of absolute truth, Vishnu or Bhagavan. And they are captivated by the external features of the material world, and therefore they do not know what liberation is. Persons who have no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Aryans. Although Arjuna was a Kshatriya, he was deviating from his prescribed duties by declining to fight. This act of cowardice is described as befitting the non-Aryans. So Prabhupada is explaining why Krishna is being harsh with Arjuna. How can a Kshatriya abandon his duty? A Kshatriya, if he is called for a fight, he has to accept it. So therefore, it is deemed as if Arjuna was actually being a coward. Such deviation from duty does not help one in the progress of spiritual life, nor does it even give one the opportunity to become famous in this world. Whatever prescribed duties we have as per our varna and ashrama, we must perform the duty, because if we don't perform the duty, the opportunity to purify ourselves so that one day we may be practicing spiritual or we may be inclined to practice spirituality in our life will be lost. Lord Krishna did not approve of the so-called compassion of Arjuna for his kinsman. So from another parampara, I've just picked this commentary. The word Arya in our sacred books does not refer to any race or ethnic group. The Manusmriti defines an Aryan as a highly evolved and cultured person. Aryan connotes goodness, like the term perfect gentleman. The aim of the Vedic scriptures is to induce humans to become Aryans in all respects. Shri Krishna finds Arjuna's present condition in conflict with that ideal, and so reprimands him by calling attention to his confusion in how to live up to this ideal state of being under the current circumstances. The Bhagavad Gita, or Song of God, effectively begins from here, because Shri Krishna, who was quiet until now, starts speaking in this verse. The Supreme Lord first begins by inducing in Arjuna a hunger for knowledge. He does this by pointing out that his state of confusion is dishonorable and inappropriate for virtuous persons. He then goes on to remind Arjuna of the consequences of delusion, which are pain, infamy, failure in life, and degradation of the soul. So the worst thing is the degradation of the soul when you refuse to perform your prescribed duties and responsibilities. Rather than comforting him, Shri Krishna is making Arjuna uncomfortable about his current state. We all feel uncomfortable when we are confused because it is not the natural condition of the soul. That feeling of discontentment, if properly channeled, can become a powerful impetus to search for true knowledge. The suitable resolution of doubt helps a person acquire deeper understanding than before. Thus, God sometimes deliberately puts a person in turmoil so that he or she may be forced to search for knowledge, to remove the confusion, and when the doubt is finally resolved, that person reaches a higher level of understanding. So sometimes the Lord deliberately puts a person in such a situation that he's going to seek help. Of course, here Krishna is there to help Arjuna as the higher authority, as the supreme authority. So Krishna has taken that position already by speaking in this verse, challenging Arjuna's lack of being a Kshatriya. His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says how purification can empower us all. Purification is often equated with being puritanical, which may evoke images of holier than thou people morally policing everyone else. Influenced by such images, we may not want anything to do with purification. However, purification is empowering, for it aligns our perception with reality. This is very true because there are some people who are so focused on being pure and being prim and proper, they cannot tolerate it if others are not up to that same level as them. And this causes a great deal of agitation for that other person. So we may be turned off by people who dwell too much on right and wrong, right and wrong, right and wrong. That's true. We may go overboard. However, at the same time, purification for ourselves is actually empowering. But we cannot mandate and legislate that others also live up to those same standards. It's not possible. You cannot legislate morality. Morality comes from within, and if the education system is really good and based on scriptures, then morality has a chance of thriving. Suppose someone has the impurity of alcoholism in their consciousness. Just to get a few drinks, they risk losing their money, health, reputation, relationships, life. If they could be purified of alcoholism, they would be able to better value the things that are of actual value, and their life would be so much better. We may not have any impurity as gross as alcoholism, still, we are vulnerable to other impurities such as lust, anger, greed, or simply distractedness. Even a warrior as powerful as Arjuna was infected by weak-heartedness, which obstructed him in fighting the most important war of his life. Pertinently, Krishna cautioned him to avoid giving in to that impurity, and learning to resist impurity is the essence of purification. How can we purify ourselves? Different traditions prescribe many specific do's and don'ts, following which may seem puritanical. However, underlying such specifics and superseding them all in potency is the paramount purificatory principle, linking with the all-pure divine Krishna. Just as touching a hot object heats, connecting with the all-pure one purifies. To connect with him, Bhakti Yoga provides us many effective ways. When we practice Bhakti Yoga, the resulting purification doesn't just protect us from illusory perception, it also equips us with spiritual perception. Thereby, we learn to increasingly appreciate the thing that is of ultimate value, Krishna himself. So everything that we're doing is actually to help us value Krishna and nothing else. He is the embodiment and fulfillment of everything our heart longs for. In loving him purely, we find life's supreme solace and satisfaction. Purification removes the mismatch between the things that we value and the things of actual value. It's a very nice statement. The process of following your daily sadhana, your daily disciplined way of approaching your life helps you prioritize what is of value and what may appear to be valuable because of various other external factors that society may impose on what is actually of value versus what the scriptures say is of value. So here Krishna has started by challenging Arjuna, by chastising him and telling him this is not the right thing for you to do. What is that? All the long speeches Arjuna has given so far, giving various reasons why he really should not pick up his bow and arrow and fight on this battlefield. Krishna warns him if he does that, it will lead to a kirti. Kirti means fame. So a kirti means a very bad reputation, that your reputation is going to be spoiled. So akirti karam Arjuna, that is Krishna's warning.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.